And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Question is today, why are men unhappy? Because that is something that is becoming more and more visible every single day. You're finding men being unhappy. And I would like to break it down into two pieces. If you remember, I've mentioned this before. And the quote is, take every principle to the extreme and see if it works. So, and my definition for truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. So let's break it down into two aspects. You have on the one side, someone who is in the middle of the exponential growth phase of him successfully fulfilling his life purpose. And then on the other extreme, you have someone who has no purpose at all. He doesn't know why he's alive, or he's lost his purpose, and he wants to commit suicide. Now, if you break it down to the extremes, this is like most people are in between here. Everyone wants to be on the happiness side, where you're actually fulfilling your purpose, and you're in the exponential growth phase, which means that it's taken a long time for you to get there. But now you are experiencing the greatest joy and greatest happiness that you could possibly have. So, what is it that makes us have that happiness, that joy, that exponential growth phase? It's not about money, even though that's a very important aspect of happiness. Because if you don't have money, then you will be on the opposite side, where you're being poor and you don't have options, and people cannot depend on you for what they need. They're not able to trust you. The thing is that if you have money, then you have shown some form of leadership or some form of success, unless you've inherited it, but you've proven yourself in some way to the world that this person I can at least depend on him to give me something of what I want. But someone who's poor, destitute, lonely, and on the opposite side, and having no purpose at all, whatsoever, it's a bit difficult to depend on him and trust him. And it all comes back to people, to relationships. Now, let me tell you I just briefly saw this video. This was Grant Cardone Breaks Down. That's something, I guess it was his birthday or something a couple of days ago, and they showed that on his channel, and it was just him having his team, which is basically approximately 80 to 100 people. They were in his office, and they were basically paying tribute to their example. Someone who had become successful in life, but who also desired to help others to become successful. They felt that they had purpose in their lives because he had cast a grander vision for them, because of his ability to get to where he is today, where he has a wife that loves him, he has kids who love him, he has a lot of wealth built up, and he's passionate about the game, and he's also passionate about helping others to get to where he is. And he's in the middle of his exponential growth phase. In some ways, he's made it. Now, is it possible for him to destroy everything that he's done and ruin that exponential growth phase? Absolutely. But you got to understand that he has now become success. He can now easily create millions and millions of dollars because he knows how to. He can get another 80 to 100 people to join his team if he wanted to, and even if everyone quit tomorrow. Like, of course, like, barring that he does something really bad, right? But it's not part of his identity to do that. It's part of his identity that everything that he seems to touch progresses and grows with him. And that's why he was breaking down in tears because of joy, because of happiness, because of what had become his life. And it wasn't because he had all the money. It wasn't because he like, you know, that he felt he was successful and he didn't need anyone. It was because other people felt that he was amazing. And they were being so grateful for having him in their lives. That's having purpose. He has a life purpose. He has a goal. And those goals are being fulfilled by the second because of who he is and because he's progressing daily towards achieving greater and greater goals. And then you have someone on the opposite side who's close to suicide. So how do we help this guy who's close to suicide to get to that side? Not necessarily where Grant Cardone is. Like, I mean, he's just an example of someone I saw who had extreme joy just a few days ago. But how do we get there? How do we take someone there? Or how do you as a person get yourself, if you're in the middle of that scale, or closer to suicide than you're closer to success and happiness? How do we take you from there to there? And that starts with you understanding that you have the ability and you have the power to change who you are. You got to understand that it's our habits that creates us. It's our habits that changes our identity and our belief about ourselves. If we believe that no one loves us, that no one cares about us, that even, you know, if I die, nothing's gonna change, then that becomes our identity. And we end up setting habits in place that are in line with that identity. So if I feel no one loves me and no one cares for me, and that only happens because I haven't sent out positive things to others. If I was sending out positive things to others every single day, and I was doing positive things for others every single day, then people would give it back to me and do good things to me. Suddenly, I'm beginning to have purpose. Even if it's just one purpose, even if it's just one person, it's something. That's why very often the people who commit suicide, I'm not saying I know a whole lot about that genre and what's going on there. But very often, they usually have one person. Maybe it's a girlfriend, or maybe it's one friend. And then suddenly they've done something because of drugs, alcohol, abuse, violence, or something that they're really not proud about. And then they lose that one friend, or lose that girlfriend. Boom. Purpose gone. And yet they don't understand that it wasn't that one event. It was a continual exponential growth curve, downwards, if you will, from doing habits that led to a place where you really don't want to go. So, again, how do we take you from there? First of all, you have to figure out your purpose. You have to figure out what you really want. The things that very often we are stuck in our bodies as feminine. We grow up as boys. We never felt like we grew up. We never felt like people allowed us, our parents allowed us to be kids. So we grew up too fast, perhaps. And then we're still in our feminine state. We're still in our bodies of being emotional and being destitute of power, if you will. We're blaming others continuously for our problems. That's part of the definition of being feminine as a guy, by the way, is that you're blaming other people continuously for your troubles. And once you're in that phase, it's kind of hard to get out of it. But when you're in that emotional state, the only thing you think about most of the time are immediate gratification things. Like you want to get laid. That's immediate gratification. That's something that your body needs or wants because of your porn and masturbation addiction. And you need it. You want alcohol. Instant gratification. You want to feel good. It's not how you feel good in the long term. Eventually you will wake up and you won't feel good. Drugs, cigarettes, any form of stimulants that works to make you feel good right now. Now, I'm making an exception to good food here. Because yes, while some people might say that food is an addiction, we need food to survive and we need the energy, and I'd rather you eat more than eat less, as long as you exercise and do the right things. But in general, you gotta understand that if something is really bad for you, and you know it's bad for you, and yet you keep going towards it, that means you're in your feminine state, and you've got to cut it off. You've got to cut it off now in order to find your purpose and what you really want. Because what you really want very often is far away. And it's part of your life purpose. And very often, or I would say every time you find out your true purpose, it is so big that it's beyond your lifespan to accomplish. It is so big that no matter how many lives you have, you would never accomplish it. But it's the exponential growth phase of successfully fulfilling that purpose, which is fully possible in this life, in that one life you have. To have a massive goal and to get to that exponential growth phase. That is what creates happiness and joy. If you think about that process, you'll understand that has nothing to do with instant gratification. Now, of course, if you're having fantastic sex with your wife or your committed loved one, and it's absolutely amazing, you've gotten to that point where you've learned all the different things that are needed for her to have a massive, amazing experience, and for you to have a great experience as well. That produces joy if you're in a committed and loving relationship where you're both committed for life and beyond. Because you know you're going to have that forever. You can't have true joy and happiness in that experience unless you know it's going to stick. And you're going to be able to have it whenever you want and however long you want with that person. You see, players, guys that have sex with many, many different women, don't really have that. Now, they might say they don't want that because, hey, these women grow old and, you know, I'd rather go to a younger, hotter chick. It doesn't work like that if you're going to have long-term joy and happiness. Because you're going to keep making these girls miserable. And eventually we'll catch up with you. So, if not in this life, it will catch up with you in terms of who you become in that process of not caring. But if you're in a process where you do care, but you're setting your purpose, this is not other people setting your purpose for you. It can't work like that. You've got to set your own real life purpose for yourself. Let's say you're a feminine guy. As a feminine guy, what we do is we submit and we're followers. When we're masculine, we find our own purpose and we move towards our goal. When we're feminine, very often, because we have a lack and we have a need, and our woman is better than us in some sense, she's the masculine one, she's the leader, she will toss you to and fro because of her emotional instability as a woman. Without male leadership, a woman will not be consistent because of her emotions, because she doesn't feel like it. It's not something that she's responsible for. It's built in within her, in her reproductive system. But you as a man can be consistent, no matter how boring and mundane it is. And then, as you keep being consistent, eventually you'll get that exponential growth phase. It's inevitable. But if you allow a woman to lead you continuously, that exponential growth phase can never happen. It can't. And the woman might say, oh, but we're equal partners. No, you're not. There will always be a leader when there's two polar opposites. Always. And if you guys are both masculine, you will go your separate ways. That's just how it is. One will always have to submit to the other. And if you're in a relationship right now, I truly hope that you as the man are the leader. And if you're not the leader, it's going to take some difficulties in the beginning to set yourself up as the leader. But trust me, if you have your life purpose that's grander than you, then it will be grander than her as well. Which means the important thing is that. Now you want to have her with you, but she will have to follow you to that destination, not the other way around. It doesn't work like that. And it doesn't work like that in terms of you pushing her up towards success. You have to grab the bulls by the horns. You have to go towards your destination. And she will naturally take you by the hand and follow you because you are consistent. If you're not being consistent, if you're not doing the actions that are necessary, you'll never lead anyone to the top. But women need that. They want to follow people who are going somewhere, especially if it's their husband or their loved one and he's committed to her. Just an example. It's going to be hard in the beginning. It always is. And the reason why it's hard is because you don't know if you're doing the right thing. You don't know if you're going to succeed. You don't know. You have no idea. But if you actually taking daily actions every single day to get to that end goal, what you really, really want, you'll get there. It's inevitable to not get there. Because simply by taking that daily action, it's almost as if you're already there. The example is me doing this YouTube channel. In 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, it will be 1 year since I started this YouTube channel. 110 subscribers. Woohoo! Like, does it look like I'm going to become a huge YouTube success and have millions of subscribers one day? No, it doesn't look like that from the outside. But once you understand my topics and you understand what's really happening down in the surface, who I'm becoming, setting my principles in place, establishing my purpose, where I'm going to bring this movement to, it's going to happen one day as long as I take daily action to get there. It's just going to improve and get better and better and better. Yes, do I have competition? Absolutely. But are any of them like me? No. I'm unique in the way that I completely think differently than anyone else. I'm not setting myself up on the pedestal. I'm just saying that from the outside looking in, it looks like I'm not succeeding because I only have 110 subscribers. But I know I'm succeeding. And that's bringing me happiness along the journey towards the exponential growth phase where I know I'm successfully fulfilling my life purpose and why I came here. You can find your life purpose. You can find out the daily habits that need to happen in order for you to get there. And you can do it. Do the thing, and you shall have the power. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And having power, as long as you do good, is what brings you true joy and happiness. This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you again tomorrow.